Hello, this is David, and I wanted to give you a idea of what happened to me yesterday, about 10 hours ago. Um, this has to do with serving the Mormon Church the legal papers of my lawsuit in federal court in Salt Lake City, having to do with the Mormon Church not allowing me to remove my name from the records of the church. As they promised to me twice. I've resigned from the church twice, and neither time they say in their handbook, and they threaten me that I'm going to have my name removed, and it never is. So I had to sue them. I didn't want to sue them, but they deserve it. They want it. They invite it. Let me tell you what happened yesterday that you may find interesting. You may not find interesting, but I'm making a paper trail. Anytime you do something in the law, you need to record it. You need to document it. You need to be able to show it to a judge or a jury so that there is clear evidence. This happened less than 8 hours, ago. Um, we drove to Salt Lake City. I'm basically homebound. I get out of my house maybe once a year or less. I can't get up on the second floor generally of my house. I'm pretty much blind. I can see very little. I can't see the face of a phone or a computer. All of my lawsuits I have to do by memory. My machines can read to me verbally what is being done, and I have to memorize it. I can't go back and look in paperwork. So there's a little bit of a hoop and a hurdle there. But this was important to me. I've waited 77 years to do what I did yesterday. That's a long time. Um, I got dressed. I need assistance getting dressed, and I got down to the car with help. I had to have assistance and help, and we drove to Salt Lake City. Now, this is somewhat hilarious in some ways. The church is always kind of a circus and a sideshow and a freak show. But we drove to the church office building in Salt Lake City, and I took my lawsuit, and I took the summons for the lawsuit, which is required. And in the federal court, you can't file the initial allegation over the system, the email system. You can't do that. You have to file it by hand, and it has to be a good serving of the defendant. And a serving of the defendant is basically you have to be over 18 years old, and you're not a party to the action. If your name is on the lawsuit, you need a stranger or another person who's over 18 and not a party named on the lawsuit. Basically, you have to leave the legal papers with a person who is capable, competent. You can't put them on the ground by a 3-year-old. That's not good service. In a corporation, you can serve the people who are officially hired and running the corporation. And in the Mormon church, in the church office building, there are hosts. They call them hosts. They're not really secretaries, but they're people who direct people to certain places. They're people who are hired by the Mormon church to be in the church office building, and basically they have the obligation, they have the right to receive legal papers. Now, what happens in these large corporations, and especially at the Mormon church, is by law, when somebody is a nonprofit, they have articles of incorporation, and basically in a corporation, which the Mormon church is, they have to have a specified person to accept legal service. Well, I can't keep a straight face. These people, they're comical, and a judge is going to see this tape, and he's probably not going to think I'm being funny, but they're funny to me. So they do have a person that accepts legal service, but you can't find out who that is. Now, you can go to their articles of incorporation, and there may be a person named there. But where is that person? On the moon, on Mars? The name, the address, the location of that person is almost impossible to find in I'm going to say now, a $300 billion corporation. A couple of days, it was $250 million. They made another $30 million. It was $280, and now with this particular video, is probably a $300 billion corporation. Well, when you have that much money, you can buy anything. The old temple ceremony, the devil in the endowment ceremony said, you can buy anything in this world for money. Do you sell your tokens for money? No, I hold them sacred. I don't sell them. Well, I remember that temple ceremony when they asked me to slit my throat and cut my guts out. But anyway, I diverse here. So anyway, finding the person to serve in a nonprofit or a large corporation is almost impossible. Now, I want to put on tape, and I want the judge to be able to see this tape. It'll be up on my video. I want to make a very direct and clear indication. There is a girl, a young woman, whose name is Brianne. Brianne works for the McConkey law firm, which is, I think, the biggest law firm in Salt Lake City. I think they have 174 attorneys, and they defend the Mormon Church. They're the main law firm that defends the Mormon Church against molestation cases. The Huntsman case right now, where he wants his money back for tithing because it paid for a mall. We'll see how that goes. This is going to be an old video, and that will come out someday. Well, finding a person. I called Brianne, and I have recorded. They don't know this. Now they know it because I'm saying it as a record. As a record. I called Brianne. I called the church office building. I have that recording. And they put me to a person who said, well, what's this about? And I said, well, I'm suing the Mormon Church. And she fell off her chair, which she shouldn't have. It's happening all the time now. And she says, well, let me put you to Brianne. I said, fine, I'll talk to Brianne. And I recorded my phone call with Brianne. It's on my video. These people, they lie, they cheat, they steal. And if they didn't, they could sue me right now for libel. They could sue me for slander. They're not going to sue me because truth is a defense to libel and slander. So I recorded Brianne, and she's a very sweet person, very kind person. I have no animosity towards Brianne at all. And she said, well, why are you calling? And I have it recorded. I've said this over and over again. I have it recorded. And I said, well, the reason I'm calling Brianne is that the church has told me on 2 occasions when I resigned that they would remove my name from the records of the church. And they basically have lied to me. That's the correct term, lied. They've been deceptive. They have not followed through. You can use any term you want. I prefer lied. So I told her, Brianne, they've lied to me. She said, well, can you tell me a little bit about what's going on so I can direct your case to the proper department and an attorney who specializes in reasonable accommodation? And I said, sure. So I told her, it's recorded. Go look at it. I keep saying it. It's a paper trail. It's a paper trail. With this kind of a corporation, you better document everything. You better not say or do anything that they're going to come back. If you've got skeletons, you better not sue this corporation. Well, anyway, I told her, Brianne, I'm asking for a reasonable accommodation under ADA law. that the church remove my name. And basically, Brianne, under the law, ADA, they don't have a choice. It is not burdensome. That's one of the cutouts for a reasonable accommodation. And it doesn't change the nature of the issue. That's the other cutout. So they must accommodate under ADA law. Well, I don't think anyone's ever sued the Mormon Church under ADA law. I'm probably the first one. And I said to her, I need that reasonable accommodation. And she said, okay, I'm taking notes. I'm going to refer this to the proper attorneys, and they'll be getting in contact with you. I said to myself, no, they won't. Brianne, you're being very sweet and very kind. And she was. She was. She said, well, I'm going to refer this, and they will let you know. I'm sorry, I'm old. And she says, well, what is it that you want? And I said, well, Brianne, what I want is something that is proof that they have accommodated me. This is causing me some psychological and mental stress and damage. I've had to go to a psychiatrist now, which I haven't been to in 30 years. And I've been to my regular doctor who's upped my medications, and my psychiatrist has now given me new medications. So this is kind of stressful for me, and I'd like them to be kind. I'd like them to be upfront, and I would like them to do what is right. Let the consequence follow. That's the old song. Do what is right, let the consequence follow. I don't think they sing that one anymore. I don't think they sing that one. They don't like the consequence that follows. Well, she was very kind and very appropriate. And she says, well, I'll get back to you, and I'll let you know who the attorney is going to be, and what they're going to do. I said, great. That's great. Go look at my video. I've said to her, it's great. And then I said to her on my other video, well, when will you get back to me? And she said, well, it's probably going to take me at least an hour. I said, okay, that's reasonable. I'm not trying to be unreasonable here. I just like to get a reasonable accommodation. And she said, well, I'll call you back. I said, great. I'll go ahead and wait for your call. Now it's been almost a week, maybe a little more than a week. And I don't know if she can't dial the phone. I don't know if she went on vacation. I don't know if they put handcuffs on her and threw her in a padded dark room there in the church office building. But Brianne has turned into the Holy Ghost. She has disappeared. She never called me back. And you know, I'm 77. I keep saying that on my videos because I want you to know I'm aged, and I have that age situation. So she didn't call back. I thought, well, a lot of girls in my life said they were going to call back, and they never called back. But this is the McConkie law firm. These are not supposedly comical people, but, you know, they're starting to dress up in clown suits. They're starting to dress up in clown suits. So I thought, well, she's not going to call me back. So I decided, paper trail, it's on my video. I sent them an email. And clearly in the email, I indicated a preliminary lawsuit. It was a draft. It was a primer. It did not have all the details. But I wanted to give them a heads up. It doesn't matter. You can tell the Mormon Church, you can tell the McConkie law firm anything. They don't take it as a heads up. When you've got $300 billion, they do this to you. And then they do it with the other hand too. That money can buy anything. It can buy anything. And your chances of prevailing against that kind of money is better. It's worse than a snowball in hell. But anyway, I have to do what's right. I have to stand up, let the consequence follow, which in this case could be death for me. You don't mess with these kind of people unless you're 77 years old. And I always say, you know, if you kill me, just shoot me in the head. Don't shoot me in the genitals. I don't want to suffer. Just shoot me in the head. So, I I'm aware. I'm very aware that I could have a very serious accident, and I'm very aware that I could have some type of poisoning or heart attack, whatever they're going to call it in an autopsy. But again, they've ripped me off. They've lied to me. They've cheated. They have. I've given them. Well, let's see. I've given them 12 years since my last resignation, and they were supposed to have taken my name off. The first resignation, I think I've given them probably 20 years, and they didn't take it off. I think I'm being reasonable here. I think I'm being reasonable here. I've given them 20 years to do what the handbook says. Take my name after you get a legitimate resignation. Take my name off the records of the church. Well, they didn't. The first time I got rebaptized and magically all of my records reappeared. That should have been a red flag, but in those days I was young and stupid. And the second time I resigned, I thought my records finally were taken off and I wouldn't be associated and hooked to this cult. It's an antichrist, deadly, vicious cult. I've said that now in the last 2 weeks. I've never said that before. I've left them alone, and I thought they were leaving me alone, but they didn't. They sent me in the mail my Patriarchal Blessing after I requested it in the last couple of months. Well, how did they have my Patriarchal Blessing if they removed my name from the records of the church? I'm sure they're going to come up with some kind of a reason, but I'm curious to hear it. They're going to have to put it in their answer to my law complaint, lawsuit, or I'll get it in discovery. But anyway, they didn't take my name off, and they also sent me my membership number. Well, how do I have a membership number if my name has been taken off? Didn't my membership number get taken off? Well, no. Well, let me get down to the rest of Brienne, because she's a very sweet person, and they're throwing her under the bus. I hate to see this. I see this all the time, that these young, beautiful, wonderful women are up front, and when things go to shit, these powerful men throw these girls right under the bus and drive over them and drive over them. So I sent to Brienne, to her email. She was kind enough. I'm sure that they're going to block her email now and her number. That's standard procedure for the Mormon church. They love to be anonymous. They love to hide. And they're good at it. I have to admit, they are good at it. You don't go up against McConkie Law Firm and think it's going to be a pushover. It's not. They are experts in what they do, and they will ruin your life. They will ruin your life. So anyway, I sent a preliminary lawsuit to Brienne, and I just told her, I said, this is a fair warning. It's a heads up. This is coming at you if you don't call me back and somebody be reasonable and say, oh, Mr. Crossett, we didn't take your name off. We forgot to do that, and we're going to do that, and we're going to send you a certified letter proving that we followed through with our promise and followed through with what we said we were going to do and followed through with what the handbook says. Well, they got that preliminary lawsuit. They knew I wasn't kidding. They also got, and I have copies of everything. Brienne got a copy of my original request. I didn't sue him. I didn't sue him to start with. They begged me. They begged me to sue him. I sent them a preliminary lawsuit and said, I don't want to file this. Please get a hold of me. They didn't. They did one of these. We're powerful. We have $300 billion, and it's going to be screw you. So then I sent her a copy of a simple letter saying, I want my name removed from the Mormon Church. I'm making this as a reasonable accommodation. I said that in the first letter. I said that to Brienne. Those two words trigger the federal law. I don't think McConkie even knows that. I really don't. They have a an obligation. When you say that, the law triggers a negotiation requirement. If somebody says, I need a reasonable accommodation, you need to pick the phone up or write in a letter or contact them pretty reasonably. Within a day, 2 days, 3 days would be reasonable, in my opinion. Maybe the court's going to say 20 years, I don't know. But anyway, when somebody asks for a reasonable accommodation, you have to be engaged in a mandated means legal responsibility conversation. Well, how can we do this? And then you say, well, this is what I need. They say, well, this is what I can do. Can you do this? Can you do that? It goes back and forth. And the law is designed to avoid lawsuits. Avoid. And I was trying to avoid. I was trying to, the spirit of the law and the letter of the law, I was trying to avoid. I was saying basically, I need an accommodation. Please contact me. Please, let's talk about it. And McConkie did one of these. Now, if they knew anything about ADA law, they wouldn't have done this. This is stupid. This is stupid because this is bringing at you a lawsuit, an absolute lawsuit. And when you represent the Mormon Church, you're supposed to defend them. And what McConkie did is drag them right into a multi-million-dollar federal lawsuit because their attorneys didn't know that they needed to negotiate with me legally. Well, at that particular point, the law says that if they did not negotiate with you, that's a violation right there. That's a federal ADA violation, not engaging in the mandated conversation that you have to engage in. Well, McConkie didn't know it. That church pays them millions or billions of dollars. And I would go to McConkie and say, what the hell? Don't you guys know that? Don't you know when he put those two words into a letter, into a potential lawsuit, and then he said to Brianne, reasonable accommodation. You guys didn't know that? You didn't know that you had to call him? You didn't know you had to email him? You didn't know you had to text him? Well, is the Mormon Church getting what it pays for? I don't know. We'll see, because they're going to pull their swords out, their flaming swords, and they're going to chase me around Salt Lake City with a flaming sword, insisting that I jump on a 14-year-old and call her a wife. Well, anyway, McConkie didn't know, and, you know, again, I'm going to say it. It's stupid. It's stupid. I'm not even an attorney. I've only had 11% of law school first year, and basically, I know better that when somebody says, I need a reasonable accommodation, I pick the damn phone right up. And I say, gee, what do you need? How can I help you? We can do this. Would this be acceptable? They're not even smart enough to do that. And they all went to Yale and Harvard and BYU law school. Well, BYU doesn't rate with Harvard and Yale and Stanford. So anyway, I sent Brianne that warning letter, and I sent the potential lawsuit, and I talked to her on the phone, and I recorded that, and she said, I'm going to refer this to someone who knows, and obviously right now there's nobody that knows. It's come to my mind, nobody knows ADA law there at McConkie. That's my opinion. We'll see. We'll see. They never called back, and Brianne never called back. Well, here is the short end of the stick. I pour myself into a car, which I haven't been out of my house in probably over a year. Basically, I'm homebound. You know, I look out the window, and basically that's it. But you know what? I waited 77 years for this. If they had to drag me on a hospital bed behind an ambulance, that's how I would go. No problem. I'm done. I'm done. I've been bullied by these people. I've been harassed by these people. I've been intimidated by these people. They've taken my money. They haven't accounted for it. They've taken my family. They've taken my children. And they have made me be associated by name to a cult, like a Nazi concentration camp, like a tattoo. My new name in the temple. They take your name in the Mormon Church, and in Auschwitz, they take your name and they tattoo a number on it. It's Auschwitz. It's little Auschwitz. So anyway, they dragged me to Salt Lake City, and they got my wheelchair out of the back of the car, and it was raining, and my balance is very poor. I can hardly walk a few steps, and I had to, stabilize myself on railings and finally get into the wheelchair. Well, again, it's the Mormon church. The ramp to get down into the church office building is hidden. It's hidden. So we had to look and look and look at the staircases that you can't get a wheelchair down. That's done on purpose. The Mormon church only does what it has to do when the federal government tells them. So we searched for the ramp to the front door for probably 5 minutes in the rain. And then we found it. It was hidden behind some bushes and a planter. But it did lead down to the main doors of the church office building. Well, I'm going to leave the best till last. You're going to die. You are going to die. Now, I can't serve the lawsuit. Remember, I told you I'm a party to the action. I can't serve it. But I can be a witness. I can issue an affidavit of what I saw. I'm not a party to the action, so I had to have another individual who I'll describe in a few minutes. You're going to die. You're going to die. So we had a little bit of a hard time getting through the doors of the front doors of the building, and we finally got into the lobby, and we saw a great big desk there, as usual. I was there 20, 30 years ago. There was always a very nice woman. Many times it was an elderly woman, but this time it was a very young and very, again, attractive, beautiful young lady who was the host or the secretary in charge. And she said to us, what can I do for you? How can I direct your visit? And it was obvious. She was in charge of that building. She was directing people in that building. And I'm going to tell you something about the Mormon church. Everything is recorded. Everything. There were cameras all through that lobby. No doubt in my mind there was hidden cameras, and they have a picture of me in a wheelchair yesterday, and my process server, everything is recorded. And she says, well, how can I help you? And I said, well, good morning. And my assistant beside me, who was the process server, put the papers down on her desk, the lawsuit, the summons, and he said, legal papers. And I repeated that. It's on their cameras. They can look this up. And I said, legal papers. We turned around immediately and started to exit the lobby. Now, I'm going to tell you what happened. And see, the thing is, when you put something on a video or you say something, you better tell the truth. You better tell the truth, because McConkie is going to pull up all those tapes, and they're going to look at every angle, what was said, what wasn't said, who said this, who was there, what's the name of this person, what's the name of that person, etc. So my assistant, after he served the papers on the $300 billion corporation, we wanted to exit. We wanted to exit. Well, this young lady, I can't say stood up because my back was to her, so I'm not going to say anything that's not true. I couldn't see, but in a very loud voice, which the video cameras will show, she starts yelling, we can't accept this. We can't accept this. Take this back. We can't accept this. Well, I know what good service is. If you have a person who is in charge of a corporation, a secretary, you can put the papers right on their desk, and they're obligated to forward those papers to the proper authorities, the legal department. Well, she had been trained to say that. The Mormon church, they train everybody to be perfect, but they weren't perfect this time. She started yelling at us, we can't accept these. No, we can't accept these. Well, we were just kind, polite, and we started to exit the building. You're going to die. You're going to die. Two things happened. You're going to die. My process server was a black man. Is that funny? It is hilarious. These people have hated black people for 200 years. And this handsome, beautiful, wonderful black man served the Mormon church their legal papers for a multi-million-dollar lawsuit. Well, anyway, he was helping me in the wheelchair to exit the building, get out of there. No, don't harass anybody. Don't say anything. And we didn't. We didn't say anything except two words: legal papers. She was aware that they were legal papers. Well, I've been in the church office building and on Temple Square, and you've got to be very careful. They have their own police department, but they dress them like FBI agents. They're in white shirts and ties, usually a red tie, and usually young, but they're aggressive. They're aggressive. If you're holding hands as a gay couple on temple grounds, they will immediately come up to you and escort you right off the temple grounds. Well, I didn't want to get escorted, if you know what I mean. I was leaving on my own volition in a wheelchair. So we started to get to the door of the church office building, and pretty soon, the cameras are going to pick this up. So, I can't exaggerate, and I can't lie, of course. But there was this man, and I never really saw the man, to tell you the truth. I never saw him, but he was in a suit and a tie, and he was security. And when he heard her say, "We can't accept that," he jumped in like a frog in hot water. I don't know where he came from, but he was on alert because that church, there are people that don't like the Mormon church, and, they can be vicious or violent, and to have reasonable security is not unreasonable. Well, this guy was unreasonable. He didn't have proper training. I don't know where they got this clown. I'm going to call him a clown because I'm going to describe what he did. And this is what clowns do. This is truth, is a defense for libel. He started yelling. Now we've got stereophonic yelling. "We're not going to accept these. We're not going to accept. No, you can't do this." He started to be aggressive. We weren't. I was in a wheelchair. How can you be aggressive in a wheelchair? Throw your wheel at him? So anyway, my black friend was helping me get out of the building, and he's yelling just like she's yelling in a public place. Loud, obnoxious. "We're not accepting. We're not accepting. We're not going to." See, they've been trained. I know what good service is. It was good service. So he chased us out of the building, yelling, "We're not accepting these. We're not accepting these." They were desperate. When you sue a large or medium large company or organization, they're very dignified. They say thank you very much, and they give the legal papers to their law firm, and they handle it in a dignified and professional manner. This was a comedy show. In the middle of the church office building reception area, and it's large. There's a lot of people in there. Well, she's yelling, "We can't accept this. We're not going to accept it." He is chasing after us. He's being aggressive. He didn't just stand in place and say, "We're not accepting it." He chased us through the lobby and out of the lobby onto the wheelchair ramp. Now, you can just picture this. This is a $300 billion corporation who hired this kind of individual and didn't train him to be, dignified. There's dignified people that go into the church office building from all over the world. And this clown and this young lady are screaming in the church office building and chasing a black man, pushing a man in a wheelchair like we were some kind of aggressors, like we were some kind of terrorist people. Well, he chased us up the ramp. My friend was pushing me up the ramp. I'm wheeling up the ramp. We just want to get out of there. We know what good service was, and they had good service. So anyway, my friend turned to me and he said, I didn't see this, but my friend said to me, David, he just threw that lawsuit in the trash can. Jesus, where do they get these people? When you catch the Mormon church with their panties down, they trip over their panties. They don't know how to pull their panties back up. So he was aggressive. He chased us. He didn't assault us. He did scare us because we didn't know what he was going to do, what he was capable of. He could have had a gun. You can do that in Utah. But his voice and his threats were intimidating. And he just said, we're not going to accept this. We're not going to accept it. And then my friend pushing me said, David, did you see he threw it in the trash can? Now, the trash can, it was raining, and it was an open trash can. So you've got this 150-page or whatever it was, 100-page lawsuit with the summons attached to it in a trash can, and it's being rained on. And my friend was said to me, well, you know, he threw it in the trash. I said, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I've served people, and you know, they throw the papers on the ground. They rip the papers up. I've seen that. Sometimes you have to put them on the windshield of a car because they'll roll the windows up and lock them. And in Utah, I'll check with AI, but I usually service in most states. If you're within 4 or 5 feet and you say to them legal papers, they may not even touch them. You can put them right on the ground. And they can do what they want with them. Well, that's what the Mormon Church did, is they put it a multi-million-dollar lawsuit asking for reasonable accommodation in a trash can. Well, that guy, maybe he's still working for the church after 20 hours. Maybe he's not. That was stupid. That was absolutely unprofessional, yelling in the lobby, chasing us out the building and up the ramp. I don't know. I'm not this way, but that could be an assault under certain circumstances. You don't have to hit a person or have contact with a person. If you just, you know, threaten them and you wave your arms at them, that could be an assault. But he's young. He was stupid. He was untrained. And I'm not a vicious person. I'm not going to file criminal charges that says he assaulted us. Well, he did assault us. Chasing us like that is threatening behavior. Well, he threw the lawsuit in the trash can. Well, that's okay. I have no obligation at all to go any further. We had a summons. We had a complaint.